Coming to you straight from the Rio Grande and beyond. Broadcasting to the four corners of the globe. So grab your seat, your coffee, or your sundowner.
Okay, everybody, here we go.
On point, as always. This is Gloves Off. Gloves Off.
So when I was working on Selena, the series for Netflix, to play the role of Abraham Quintanilla, I put on a specific amount of weight, which I was fine doing, but also realizing it could be difficult to get that weight off. I got back into my physical regimen with James Leha, but I was still having trouble with just those last amounts. And that's when I got to meet Arturo from Laredo Medical Weight Loss Clinic. And just the products that he gave me kind of put me over the edge. I feel great about myself.
Back at you in Gloves Off, and today I have a great friend and somebody that's become very close in the last couple of years, who is now the Webb County Republican Chair of the here, and his name is Jose Salazar. How are we doing, my brother? You doing good?
I'm doing great, Paul. Thank you so much for inviting me today.
No, thanks for coming out, because we've been discussing a bunch of issues, and I've seen the Republican Party in the last several years kind of grow in a very positive manner. And it was like dead in the water, and all of a sudden now it's growing. There was some fertilizer added, and so on and so forth. Now I want to hear it from you. What's going on?
Well, right now, I know that it's kind of we're trying to make sure that we don't lose momentum, because the momentum is very, very important. And after Trump won Webb County, now people tend to get a little bit complacent, rest on their laurels per se. And the trick now is to say, no, we still have the midterm. Things are about to get big. There's a lot of things that we're looking forward, and we need to grow. We need to get a little bit more focused on what we're doing. And right now is a time to really make large gains here in Webb County.
What do you see here in Webb County? Do you see more candidates coming up, more people coming up and saying, you know what, I want to run. I'm thinking about running. Do you hear that now?
I'm listening. I'm hearing some people saying that they're running, that they're thinking of running. People who want to talk to us just to check, just to, I guess, just for us to get to know them, and what other plans they might have with the Republican Party is it's up to them. We try and tell them that it would be great to run as a Republican, but that's one thing that's going on right now. We're trying to make sure to cement ourselves in the community and to become part of the community. I think for a long time, being a Republican was something you kept close to the vest for a lot of people. I don't know why. In some cases, I understand. Their business is such a business that they have to. But in other cases, it's not like that. They can go out and say that they're Republican, and there are not. It's different than it was before. I think that more people are accepting, and I think it's the ideas that are driving this, Paul. The ideas, as opposed to the Democrat ideas of what they want. Right now, the only idea that they have is, we hate Trump, we hate Elon, and I think Donald Trump is also has had a big push. The legislature has had a big push in fulfilling our agenda, and as long as we do that, to the best of our ability, I think that the party will do well, especially here in Webb County. We'll make gains.
Yeah. You touched a lot on a couple of things. I'm going to go back to when you started. You were talking about people now are feeling more comfortable. How was it before? I know that if you were a conservative or Republican, sometimes your businesses were blackballed. There was that type of political obstruction that was there, and I felt it last year. In fact, a Republican candidate felt it last year with the people inside the city, with building and planning and zoning. and it was a different entity. And I've talked to other Republican business owners that they've had issues like that. Do you think those issues are moving out, or do you think that's something that we have to tell folks here in the city, stop that, or what do you think about that?
Well, I think that Democrat politics will be ingrained in Webb County for a very long time.
Sure.
It's just a reality. And how do you combat that? Well, you have to be bold. If you fall prey to hiding who you are and fighting for what you believe, then we'll just go back to the way it was, and they will have won. How do you come out against people who, I mean, you see them on TV. You don't see it so much here in Laredo, but you see it elsewhere. People who are scratching your car, people who are burning businesses, people who will burn your car, charging stations. That's lunacy, Paul. That's lunacy. And we don't see that here in Laredo so much. We probably see, I mean, the worst I think I've heard is like a person's sticker was stolen from was removed from their vehicle. It angers you because it was your somebody went to your property and removed something that you placed, right? It upsets you, it angers you. But the lunacy that we see elsewhere, I don't think we see it here. Let me give you an example. There's a lot of people who were telling me, don't support Border Patrol. You will upset tensions. You will create tension. It'll boil over. You're gonna have something happen here in Laredo. You're gonna create something. Some people saying I can't go. I'm afraid of the violence. And I'm like, what? And I mean, if you ask me, Paul, how many people were there? How many counter protesters were there when we did a Trump train in support of Border Patrol? Zero. Zero. I think that they've respected us and we have respected them. We have not gone to show up, which is one of the things that I emphasize. We have not gone to show up to their rallies to counter protest them. That's not what we're about. We're not about that. We'll do our own thing on our own turf, but we concede, because they have a right. They have a right to show up with Mexican flags. I don't agree with it. I think it's multiculturalism that's gone wild in schools, but they have a right to do that.
I'm going to interject here. That everybody has a right for peaceful protest. It's when it gets violent and where everything else comes in that it has to stop. And I agree with you. But for many, many years, we used to have Mexican flags in all our banks, and that was always a part here in Laredo, the Mexican flag flying all over the place. Yes. And I always took offense to that. And people say, "Oh no, you're Mexicano, no, I'm Tejano," and exactly. And yes, I understand that Laredo is different than Texas. We have 7 flags that flew over us, but that's that kind of stuff. And I get it. We have a lot of people that have families that are in Mexico, families here. We have a lot of cross-cultural thing. It's nothing against Mexicans, and it's nothing against that. They're beautiful culture, beautiful people. But what I see is the ignorant violence that comes with stuff like that. But you used to see it before the Republican Party. You had it was all Democrats, and you had divisions within their party. They were calling each other corrupt. They were being violent against each other in certain elections. They would break the windows if you had a sticker of so and so, and they were supporting so and so. So it was happening amongst them. And I kind of said, well, I wonder what's going to happen when the Republicans come up. Is it going to transfer over or not transfer over? And we've seen some retaliations of what I've seen in the last couple of years, what they've done. But overall, it's been kind of quiet here.
I think there's a level of respect, and I appreciate that. People have asked me, "Hey, why do you believe this? Why do you believe that?" In a very, very civil manner, and I appreciate that. I don't want to badmouth people who vote Democrat, because that's where we get our Republicans. There's a lot of people in our party who voted for Obama, Hillary. They voted for Biden even. but after a while they said, no, this is going too crazy, and I cannot support this any longer. And they started support this. They're some of the most ardent supporters of Donald Trump. And I think that it used to be that at the beginning, I think just the fact that the Republicans were present was like a big affront when you're the only game in town, Paul, and then all of a sudden here comes the new kid, and there was resentment, and then that's natural. That's natural. They have to. They used to have everything to themselves. The Democrats, the Republican Party was very low key. It was there, but it was kind of low key. But it's become, I think, more present and more outspoken. And so I think that at the beginning, I think it ruffled a lot of feathers. But I think that they're getting used to that we're here. We're not going to be going anywhere. We're here to work with everybody.
You know something, Joe? We used to, for a long time, everybody used to say, you vote Democrat in the primaries, and in the general you vote Republican, and that was kind of the trend. And you see it with this past election, especially with President Trump.
Yeah.
You saw a huge Democrat vote, not in the primaries, and all of a sudden cleaned house, and the Republicans in the November in the general. You know what I'm saying? So you saw that, but here let's talk. Do you have any candidates that are coming up that are looking and saying, you know what, I'm throwing my name in the hat, and I'm gonna see what happens, that are coming up in some election?
Yeah, I think the race is going to get a lot of attention, and you're going to see not only here in Webb County and then District 28, but you're going to see it, I think, nationwide. And this Congressional District 28 is going to be big. We already have Myra Flores, a former representative. She will be running in our district in CD 28, and so will Jay Furman. He will mount another another bid for Congressional District 28. And I hear there's others. I don't know. It's not up to me to say, to announce their candidacy or whatever, because they haven't announced it. I hear rumors. I hear a lot of people telling me that they're thinking about it. But again, it's not up to me to say, when or how or who. It's up to them, and it's their race, it's their party, and they're going to announce it the way they want to, and then I'll just go ahead and share that information. We've got good candidates. I mean, Myra is a very good politician. She's a very good representative. She's very popular, and she knows a lot of how Washington works. We have Jay Furman, who's already run once. He's going to run a second time. He got a lot of support. And every race that we have, Paul, every race that we've had, we've just been increasing our numbers. Jay Furman did better than Cassie, who did a little bit better than Sandra Whitten. And so every race that we have, it's getting a little bit closer. The gap is closing, and that's what we saw in 2016. That there was a certain gap in 2020. It got closer, and we knew it was going to be much closer in 2024. Especially, I mean, to be honest, the Democrats helped the Republicans a whole lot. You had the president as Joe Biden, and the vice president as Kamala, who then they have to remove Joe Biden, get Kamala, and Kamala gets who to run? She gets Tim Walz. And so that's a big help for the Republicans. And plus the fact that they never move from their bad ideas, but we just see that gap getting closer and closer. I would like to see one day that Webb County be a two-party system. We have some county commissioners who are Republican and some who are Democrats. I respect our Democrats because they're good people. I think the county commissioners are all good people. I've spoken to some of them. I know some of them, and some of them I really don't. But I think they're all good people. They care about the community, and I think that we're going to make good strides there.
And for a long time, we've had great Democrat leaders here. For a very long time, we've had a lot of great representatives, both in state, both in Congress and Senate that were Democrats in this area, and we've had great commissioners. But Laredo was Democrat, so we had some great leadership with Democrats here, and a lot of it was that ideology kind of went. We didn't see that far left mentality here as of yet, like you saw in other areas. Everything here was a little bit more towards the middle. And what I would like to see is for the city of Laredo to have a partisan, for you to be able to choose if he's Republican or what have you. You know what I'm saying? We have a partisan election, and I think we have to change the charter for that. But I think we need that, and I think the time is now that we need that. I think, but nobody wants to do stuff like that. Laredo's kind of set in the wrong world, and now we have an election for a bond that's early voting is on Monday. You know, it's $417 million bond. How are the Republicans taking it on your end? What have you heard?
Well, it's city council. You brought up city council, and I think that you say that you said it has a liberal tinge in some instances and some issues, and I think that the reason being is that they've either come up and opposed the border wall from Trump, they've opposed the border wall by Abbott. They'll either write this letter or they'll declare that Laredo is not a hub of illegal immigration, and while never really denouncing illegal immigration. And I think that's what you're referring to. And I don't think it does us any favors to do that. Is it the majority of city council? I don't think the majority of city council feels that way, but there is an element that does feel that way. But in regards to the way that they're approaching the bond, it's really a non-partisan issue. It's about raising everybody's taxes, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat. Absolutely. It's about raising your taxes for 20 years. It's about giving them another check for the city council to go and spend. And when you see some of the things that they've spent the money on, when you see some of the buildings that they purchased and what they've purchased them, how much they purchased it for, when you see some of the decorations that they've decided to use their money on, and when you've expected them to tighten their belt a little bit, right now everybody is, some of the Democrats are saying they're against it, but I think it makes, I don't think they're truly against it. I think they're truly against Elon. They're not against corruption. I think they're against Elon, and they're just putting the two together. But in reality, we're all against corruption. We're all, and I'm not saying this is a corrupt thing. I think what it is some of the money has not been spent well. Some of the money, the priorities have not been the best. The choices not the best. And when you see somebody getting so much money in salaries, so much in discretionary funds, so much for a pension, and then you're telling Laredons to tighten their belts for 20 years, it's a tough pill to swallow for people who are in poverty, people who are in on a fixed income. That's a tough pill to swallow. And whether you want to call a raise, or no, it's just an adjustment, or whatever. People want to see cuts. People want to see, like, let's start cutting. And I think that everybody can get on board. I mean, even the city is going to start its own Doge type of thing where they're going to cut costs. Too little, too late, perhaps. Perhaps if you see the reactions from people, I think it's too little, too late. So if Republicans are on board for Doge for the federal government, I think that they'd be on board for the city too. I don't think that when right now the trend is to cut lower taxes, cut spending, cut waste, to approve a bond, it's going to be very tough. And I don't know that they're going to get it. And if they don't get it, I don't know. They still have options that eliminate the people, right? Pero if that's what the people want, then people need to be ready.
Yeah, and you're correct on that. Right now, we might need some of the services that they're looking there. We might need some of the monies that they're talking about, but right now is not the time. There's been a lot of mismanagement. This administration is at fault in a lot of things, and people kind of say, like, what do we do? I see a lot of people that are no longer making it, and a lot of people have been fired from their jobs, and the cost is still the same, but they don't have a job anymore. Taxes are here. In fact, somebody told me that Laredo's the number one in foreclosures in the nation. And so we need to find out if that's true or not, so that's what I'm going to do a research there. So it's a lot of issues that come aboard, and do we need these eventually? Probably so, right? But I think we need better understanding of how the money's being spent instead of projects that are really not good for anything. We have a lot of parks, and we outsource them for them to be constructed, while we in Laredo have the capability to do it themselves. We have the manpower to do it ourselves, and it's not used. It's mismanaged.
And there's things that first of all, you and I, we budget. There's things that you cannot buy for your home. You cannot. We all want to send our kids to the best college, but we can't afford the best college. So we look for something we can afford. It would be nice, pero sometimes you don't have the money, and what do? So we still have to balance. I have to balance my budget. You have to balance your budget. And this city council and prior city councils, I'm not blaming it only on these people, and some of them just started, ¿verdad? And some of them have been in favor of good ideas, but through some that are not, and through some in prior city councils, they've spent on projects that have lost money, projects that you have to question why was so much money spent? Why did it cost the city that much to buy this and to buy, somebody was, I think I saw one interview by Miguel Amante asking about the trip to DC and the amount of spent on food. I remember being an assistant principal and being told, you are given allotted money to buy your breakfast and your lunch. Go buy a breakfast and go buy a lunch. We don't want anybody to think that you spent on an expensive lunch. So don't get your breakfast money together with your lunch money and buy yourself an expensive lunch. They would tell us that so it wouldn't look bad. They said, spend it accordingly.
Absolutely, and there's a lot of things that are going in there that I say administration in it, because you have these, city council members come and go. Some of them go in 4 years, some of them go in 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, that a lot of these directors and assistant directors, a lot of people in these departments have been working there 20, 30, 40 years, 20 years. And they're the problem of departments going under, and they're always there. And if they do, or they're not up to par, they switch them and they make them director of some other department, and you're like, "Parale, you just playing musical chairs for these individuals." And those are the people that I blame. That administration, sure, falls on the city council as well, but it's the administrations that are coming in with these,
and they whoever manages our money, spends our money, needs to understand that there's the stewards of our taxpayers' money. This is what we work for, and every year they tell us, okay, this is how much you're working to pay taxes, and then the rest is yours. And that time period that we work to pay taxes, and then not only sales taxes, property taxes, college taxes, federal taxes, all that, and we have a lot of fees also. And we don't have a state income tax, but we also have a lot of fees. So everything that we pay is our blood, sweat, and tears. You get up, you show up to work, and you're working that for the government and or whatever entity. And when you get to be a certain age and you're a senior or whatever, you still have to pay taxes. So once you buy your property, it's your property. It's not really your property because you're still paying for it, and you never end up paying for it until the day you die. And then when you die, somebody has to pay taxes in order for it to stay in your family. And I think that people are just getting a little fed up with that.
If you look at the macro, there's 82% in some cases and 81% in other reports of the people do not trust their government. So it's between 80 to 82%, right? Depending on the report that you see. So if that's a macro, the micro of Laredo is just the same. If you look at the comments on the city pages and all the pages about referring to the bond, people are upset. But now, for those out there, you have to go out and vote because elections have consequences. If you say, I'm not going to vote, that's a vote for.
Exactly.
If you don't go out to vote, that's a vote for. So you have to go out to vote and vote it against this, the bond, if that's your prerogative. Now, if your prerogative is to vote for, God bless you. So, we're not here to tell you we hate you if you vote for this or that. But elections have consequences. Let's say this election goes through and everything. You're going to see a lot of people, a lot of businesses. We don't live in a small business friendly city. You've seen that. And what occurs is people are going to start moving to where they can make money. Mm-hmm. Right now, in Laredo, they should be worrying about making manufacturing jobs. We don't have any. Making stuff like that, which we're not seeing. And a lot of, I'm an executive chef. And to open up a restaurant here in town, to go rent a space to do construction, just to open it, just to open up a place, it takes anywhere between 6 to 8 months if you have to construct something. Now, if you don't, it's still going to take some time because we're backlogged, or not really backlogged. We're back in time with inspections. We're like in Flintstone era, and people, you know what I'm saying? Just to get a temporary electric permit takes you anywhere between 25 days, between 50 to 25 days just to get it. That's 1 month already gone by. You know what I'm saying? That you're paying landlord, if you're renting, for you being just looking at yourself in the mirror. If you have a mirror there, you know what I'm saying? Yes. Because things are going on. So we have to change the way we do so. And I think right now the city, and I'm talking about the municipality, has to really take into consideration that you guys are not doing the best job that there is. It's not the city council's fault. It's you guys, the directors that are in there. You guys better start. There's complaints against inspectors. If there's complaints against people, you better start reevaluating individuals. And right now is the time to bring back the trust in the citizens of Laredo, because the citizens of Laredo do not trust the government of Laredo. It's unfortunate, but it's the way.
And I've also heard that this might not work because of the tariffs, but I don't see a lot of people talking about the tariffs. That oh no, I wish I could do this. I wish I could pay all this. I wish my property taxes would go up if only there were no tariffs. There were no tariff war. I haven't heard that from anybody. What I have heard is people wishing their city government were more efficient. Absolutely. That their city government did not have certain boondoggles that people like to point out. And again, I don't want to single out people, right, or whatever, or past councils, but they're you te imaginas, which projects that are out there that have been very wasteful, that don't, do we want to spend a lot of money on murals? Do we want to spend money on certain statues and things like that, and people question that, and have you? There's one thing that maybe city council could have done is maybe vote to reduce their salary because they're to tighten the budget. But of course, that's only city council, right? There's a whole municipality that we're talking about. So, but that's what I've heard, And then again, I'm going by what I've not done like a lot of research into it, But I have heard from people that is their thing, that they feel that money has not been that their money has been mismanaged, and it's not so much the tariffs that I hear.
That's a word that's been used. Well, anyway, we're running out of time, and that issue there. You said it. Everybody that I've been talking to is saying the same thing. It's resonating throughout, and hopefully, our city officials, both the council and the administrators and directors, wake up and say, read what they're saying. Don't have hate towards people commenting and saying, hey, you guys are not doing this. Watch what they're saying and fix what they're saying, because right now those are shouts for help. It's, you know what I'm saying? They're not shouts of insult. And I hope the city, both, because this is not against the firemen, this is not against the police, it's not against the city council. I hope they take it lightly if they lose and not hold it against the citizens and go after individuals, because those habits have been found before and it shouldn't be done that way, so right now they have to take it, reassure themselves, and let's move forward, but right now is the time to clean house in the city of Laredo before anything else. Let's make that better. And when you start seeing that, you might bring back the faith to the people. But Joe, I wish you the best on your tenure of Republican chair, and just keep on pushing forward. If you have any news, come out here anytime. Let us know any events that you all are hosting or any candidates that are coming up. Please do so, because we can. What Gloves Off is about is about bringing forth or informing the lesser informed.
Yes, and we're one of the projects that we're working on right now is we will be having the governor coming down for one of our events, and it's going to be in June 21st. He's going to be our guest speaker, so that's going to be a pretty big event for us, and we're very honored to have the governor come by. And so like I said, I think that Webb County is moving in the right direction. We have a lot of people who are committed to making it a success. And this particular election is going to be on it's Tuesday, April the 22nd. Am I correct?
No, which election? The
early voting. Early voting for the bond.
Early voting starts Monday all next week, and the election is May 3rd, I believe. Yes.
May 3rd. Mm-hmm. Yes. Okay, but I hope everybody goes to vote, and has their message for the city, how they feel about the bond.
Absolutely.
Thank you for having me, buddy.
You stay safe, and folks out there, you all stay safe, be safe, and this is Holy Week. Sit down and have a prayer, but just to better ourselves. So next time, you all, much peace. Stay safe.